Hello everyone and welcome to our research study presentation. The topic we explored focused on effective communication strategies used for increasing giving back habits among cross-generational alumni of private colleges and universities. To start, we first acknowledge the challenges that come with recruiting and maintaining a supportive alumni base. Along with graduates varying widely in key demographics like age, geographic location, socioeconomic status, they also bestow dissimilar values, interests, beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes in various realms of life that largely stem from the era in which they were born. And given this array of distinctions, college and university alumni associations are obliged to find specific ways to target, recruit, and communicate to a multi-generational audience of potential members and donors. Because each of the researchers of this study has a personal connection to Nebraska, alumni from various private institutions throughout the state were selected as participants of the study. Our problem statement acknowledged that an opportunity exists to increase the amount in which cross-generational alumni give back to their alma mater, either in the form of time or donations. Therefore, our study sought to identify effective communication methods for propelling alumni of each generation to become or maintain a supportive connection with their alma mater. After conducting in-depth secondary research, we found that information pertaining to preferred methods of communication methods of private college or university alumni is scant, and information broken down by generational group was especially lacking. So in an effort to close this gap, we conducted our own qualitative study using real-life private college and university alumni. Our research aimed to answer three distinct questions that explored the types of communications generational alumni prefer, how often they prefer to receive them, and how influential those communications are with respect to alumni support and involvement. Our hope was that the answers to our research questions would provide the evidence needed to identify what the most effective communication methods are for increasing and maintaining the involvement of alumni and how those methods differ across generations. For your knowledge, here's a breakdown of the age ranges for each generation. In our secondary research, we explored three key areas pertaining to effective college and university alumni outreach methods: the current strategies used to connect with alumni, the preferred modes of communication across generations, and the generational differences in alumni engagement. A large portion of research studies attest to the power of social media to strengthen alumni engagement and giving. According to one major annual study that surveyed nearly 1,700 colleges and universities, 47% are currently using social media to raise money, and 43% of those institutions have raised more than $10,000. Along with the successful outcomes, a major perk of social networks is their cost-effectiveness and immediacy to reach target segments. Many alumni, namely young alumni, already have a strong online presence of their own, which opens up an opportunity for them to serve as sharers of news for their alma mater. Studies also show that some colleges and universities have taken it upon themselves to construct their own private online alumni networking sites to give them access to certain data and contact information an existing social networking site may not provide. Email is also still viewed as an inexpensive, quick way for colleges and universities to stay in front of alumni. One study found that 46% of institutions consider email more effective than certain social media channels. Research also indicated that traditional offline outreach strategies are also still effective. One study that surveyed 1,100 college grads found that 57% prefer direct mail compared to 31% who selected email. Overall, secondary research showed that older alumni still prefer to be reached by more traditional forms of communication, so email, telephone, and direct mailers. And millennials prefer more digital forms of communication, such as websites, email, and social networking sites. Research also revealed that millennials are passionate about being a part of something bigger that can impact others. However, they do expect credit for their actions and participation. In reviewing generational differences in donation behaviors, one major study found the silent generation to be 29% more likely to give than baby boomers and 38% more likely than Generation X. Numbers weren't calculated at the time of the study for millennials, but it was noted that this generation is more likely to donate in the form of time instead of monetarily. Research also revealed two main categories to describe donor motivations: their own self-interest and a personal belief in altruism. Significant factors in alumni giving habits included how immersed alumni were in school-related activities when they attended the institution, and whether or not they felt their educational experience prepared them for the real world. One study also discovered that many alumni consider an institution's reputation and prestige important factors in determining their level of support and engagement. And another study found that alumni who donate shortly after graduation form a habit of giving and are more likely to make donations 20 years down the road versus those who did not give back upon graduation.
All focus group participants were alumni of various private colleges in Nebraska. The sample pool includes males and females ages 25 to 72. 3 focus groups were conducted, each with 4 participants selected by judgment sampling through social media networks, email, and private message. Each participant had an existing personal or professional connection with one of the researchers of this study. So after a thorough investigation of current literature, we concluded that identifying effective communication strategies for engaging private college alumni is a very sparsely researched topic. To achieve concrete insight, our study enveloped a mixed methods approach. So we analyzed data from our focus groups to form a quantitative survey that could be used in a follow-up study in the future. Goals of our primary research are listed here. The goals were to investigate concerns, experiences, attitudes, and beliefs related to the impact communications have on alumni giving and engagement. This data facilitated the development of additional questions to ask the survey respondents and garner additional insight about effective communication strategies. We each utilized the same discussion guide and recorded discussion in order to be able to fully interact with participants during the focus groups. Cohorts represented were millennials, Generation X, and silent generations. 11 of the 12 participants attended a private institution during their undergraduate studies, and 1 participant was for a graduate degree. All schools discussed were located in these 4 Nebraska cities listed on your screen. 11 participants reported being satisfied with their educational experience. Small class sizes with one-on-one interactions with their professors were a primary reason for their positive feelings. 1 participant voiced his criticisms about his level of dissatisfaction with his school. When asked how many participants currently make regular donations to their alma maters, 1 member from each cohort responded yes. Some participants said they care about their institutions and would like to continue receiving communications from them with the hope that someday they will be ready and willing to donate. 2 millennial participants agreed that they would be more likely to make a financial contribution to their alma mater if they had a say as to where their funds were being used. Participants were asked to discuss current methods of communication implemented by their alma maters, and nearly half of them reported that they had received a phone call, which was overwhelmingly the least preferred method. For the most part, Gen X and silent generations prefer quarterly alumni news in the mail. Gen X participants are also open to receiving digital communications such as email and social media. A small percentage of millennials both receive and regularly read their printed version of their newsletter. But the majority of millennials prefer digital communications, and all of them are open to joining an alumni Facebook group if they were invited. The majority of millennials preferred email and social media communications on a monthly basis. 1 millennial preferred to seek out the information herself, and 2 millennials preferred to not keep in touch at all. 3 of the 5 Generation X and the silent generation participants enjoy receiving their quarterly newsletter. In all, 3 focus groups, participants expressed the gratitude of experiencing a personal connection while attending classes. Personalized communication and engagement post-graduation still remains just as important to these participants. And even though if the alumni associations of their private institutions change their communication strategies to meet their preferences, 1 millennial and 1 Gen Xer would not consider donating in the future. 1 millennial would consider donating after getting established, and 1 millennial would participate actively during the events but not necessarily make a monetary donation. So here are just a few key takeaways from the qualitative portion of our study. One thing to note is that more than half of the millennial participants who do not currently give back to their alma mater hope to make donations or attend events in the future. However, none of the participants could guarantee that changed communication strategies would generate a greater likelihood to give back to their alma maters. So, based on our qualitative insights, a quantitative survey was designed. Survey questions collected data pertaining to the information listed here. 4 individuals who fit the criteria of this study were asked to complete and critique the survey. The purpose of this step was not to collect data, but rather pre-test the survey and identify any possible problem areas. After receiving substantial positive feedback from the test group, 2 changes were made to multiple choice answers.
The purpose of this study was to research what the most effective communication methods are for increasing and maintaining the involvement of alumni and how those methods differ across generations. Focus group findings indicated that the modes and frequency in which alumni receive communications differ both across and within generations. All in all, feedback from focus group participants did not provide strong enough evidence to support the idea that preferred methods, types, and frequency of alumni communications would make them more or less likely to give back to their alma mater in the form of time or donations. These findings indicate that there is not a clear correlation between the original theories and the information gathered from the focus groups. However, it can be determined each generation prefers different forms of delivery in regard to college alumni association outreach. A key strength in this study was the connections each of us had with individuals who graduated from private institutions in Nebraska. That enabled us access to prime focus group participants. Another strength within our group was that Michaela is professionally employed with a private college in Omaha, allowing us firsthand knowledge of how private colleges approach alumni communications. The research project had 2 limiting factors during data gathering, which impacted the overall outcome of the project. First, focus groups were restricted to 3 geographical areas in Nebraska, and time to find willing participants was limited. As for the quantitative portion of this study, only 4 respondents completed the survey strictly as means to ensure it was reasonably comprehensible, not overly time-consuming, and that category responses were exhaustive and exclusive. Thus, the data retrieved from the survey respondents was not used to draw implications for this study. This study identified several best practices private colleges could use when aiming to keep or develop a strong relationship with their alumni. Based on both secondary and primary research findings, we believe all private colleges should implement a closed alumni social networking group. For example, a closed Facebook group dedicated to each graduating class could be incorporated as part of a brand community for members to keep in touch, and it would also duly serve as a hub to keep alumni informed of the college's happenings. Another best practice which can be gleaned from this data is the implementation of immediate continued contact with alumni after graduation, which was recognized as an important factor by the focus group participants. Lastly, while there was no concrete data to show the preferred methods of communication between generations, it was clearly acknowledged by the primary research that communication in general was key to a bountiful alumni-college relationship. This means that alumni value any form of outreach produced by their alma mater. Although this study did not exhaust the avenues each generation of alumni prefer to receive from their alma mater, it did add new knowledge to the gap in existing research, which lacks data regarding effective cross-generational alumni communication strategies. The primary research conducted in this study shows the importance of the need to cater a strategic message in the form of various media to be impactful with former graduates of different generations. To achieve this, we recommend conducting another mixed method study, but keep it to 1 private institution to gather that data. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We really enjoyed researching this past semester, and we hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.